go the distance in this one. CJ certainly could tie it up here in game 2. Time for some picks and bans, and Azir, the first ban against CJ. Once again, not going to let Coco have that one.
Jin Air are just looking to try and get one of Lulu, Gangplank, and Malphite in the first round. Those seem to be the champions that really carry them to victory. They did win that first game, but with those 3 champs, all of them undefeated from a Jin Air perspective. For example, Lulu, 3-0 GBM, 1-0 Trace on that champion.
Yeah.
Much smaller sample size with the Gangplank and Malphite, but all of them seem to be champs that they play uniquely well for this quirky team that can really be hard to dissect, to understand what Jin Air do well, apart from controlling the early game, is kind of a mystery, given they've got GBM, who can look really impressive on a carry, but usually plays those passive champions. Trace, the king of getting denied in top, but certainly not a carry top. And Pilot, he's been that revolving door AD carry next to Captain Jack. The team didn't seem they were set on one of them till the postseason, but credit to Pilot. His Ashe in particular has really carried this team forward, and getting some form of initiation has to be the big priority. So if Malphite's banned, I would expect an Ashe first pick, and now with both of them available, one of these champions is going to go to each team. It feels like the guaranteed initiation of both Ashe and Malphite makes them prized picks on patch 5.15.
Got an Orianna ban, interestingly enough. Now, in your opinion, do you go for that Malphite first? I feel like you grab Elise here.
Elise is very powerful. Elise, Ashe, and Malphite are the 3 champions you consider if you're Jin Air. Kallista's the other one, of course, that's through, but you're going to get one of those 2 AD carries, so I think both have their pluses and minuses. Obviously, the mid-game control versus the initiation, so given that both are on the board, it seems like it's a choice between the likes of Malphite and the Elise.
I really feel like Malphite is a champion that Shy can play too, but they may just grab that Alistar Callista lane. Pretty strong stuff, yeah. Does leave open, of course, Ken and Lucian, whatever Jin Air decides to play, but they don't need to pick their bot lane just yet. They can take the victor.
Worth noting there's been 5 mid lane bans, so given that Gangplank and Lulu have been primarily mid lane champions for these 2 teams, there's 5 mid lane bans, so is Victor going to be the pick with the lack of a Diana, with the lack of a real counterplay against that champion, give him a free laning phase, or will we go somewhere different? I think that GBM, despite his massive champion pool, will go for the reliable wave clear of the Victor.
Well, we talked to GBM a little bit before the match. I asked him, what he thought about Fiora mid right now, and he didn't really seem too fond of it. He said, no, I'm not going to play it. So going through that Victor, no surprise, and there's that Malphite. Worked so well against Najin. CJ banned it out in game 1. Jin Air gets it in game 2. We'll see what they can do with it.
Smeb is the innovator, brings it back against Najin, and suddenly Malphite hasn't lost a game, 6-0 in just the past couple of weeks, and gives the initiation they were sorely lacking the previous game. Now, they don't quite have the Orianna, so they don't need a ball carrier, but still, those turret dives, specifically the one around 30 minutes where Jin Air first kind of misstepped after a very impressive early game, so much more reliable when Malphite can tank the aggro and have that massive initiation, but CJ probably going to stick with the Gragas. Disengage certainly required when you see a Malphite.
Yeah, very true. And we are not on 5.16. We are on 5.15 right now, so no Mordekaisers or Skarners incoming at all.
One day.
One
Soon.
day. Probably. At Worlds, maybe. We'll see. Unless they're all banned out. Or perma-banned,
Well, there's also a lot of tweaks that will come through in the next couple of patches.
Not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. Only one patch theoretically left. Maokai Gragas picked up for CJ. And what will it be for Jin Air?
Looking for a bot lane. I guess there's a chance that Malphite could be a support, but realistically they're looking for a bot lane with the last 2 picks. Now, you wouldn't have associated Pilot with Vayne before this season, given that he was mostly a caster AD carry. The likes of the Urgot, the likes of the Ezreal, the likes of the Corki were very much his purview, but he actually really shone on Vayne early in the season, and he didn't really play a lot in the mid games of the season and wasn't playing Vayne specifically. But they're considering Vayne Brom with Ashe available. It's a surprise, but they can really do with damage. They've got lots of initiation from other members. Victor does decent damage, but adding a Vayne certainly tips them towards the damage they might need in the late game.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really looks like they need a way to shred tanks, and they're not going to get that from Ashe. They will get that from a Vayne, and they will lock it in. So Vayne Braum will be the bot lane for Jin Air, and CJ, really setting things up to counter that Ashe. And, well, I guess they got their wish. No Ashe on Jin Air.
So what is the mid lane champion? We've got a champion who can gank mid, Coco has struggled in the past few games, specifically against Ku. They were 3-0'd, where Ambition over-prioritized Evelyn, a champion who really struggles to gank mid. And Coco carrying is what we always want to see. Echo would be a super exciting pick. This is another champion that has been theorized as being a lane counter to Victor. We've only seen it once successfully. Frozen managed to pull it out and beat a Victor, but it's a risky lane. It was played in the international wildcard as well. There's no reliability. It's still picking a melee champion with decent wave clear, an assassin in a lot of ways. We have so few data points about pure AP Echo, but with 5 champions banned away and the most reliable pick locked in, we might finally get to see Coco back on this Echo.
We've seen Rookie do very well on Echo over in China right now. Looks like Coco will be locking it in. I was almost wondering if we were going to see a Kassadin, but looks like it'll be the Echo, which I suppose is kind of similar in certain ways.
It's exciting, though. Echo can do so many interesting things. You want to take Teleport despite the fact that he's considered an assassin, because you can go for those sick plays where you pick up Home Guard boots, just ultimate back after you get back into base, and go for those ganks. You can do creative things with Teleport. He has so many interesting mechanics in his kit, and it's another champion who can put down a zone with, for example, his parallel convergence and open up space for the Kalista to carry.
Yep, that's right. So our roster for game number 2, our lineup looking pretty strong for Jin Air. They've got a way to burn through a lot of those tanks, but can GBM's Victor handle Coco's Echo? It's a big question mark, because we haven't seen, like you said, a lot of Echo in Korea recently. We've seen it be kind of hit and miss. We've seen it work really well. We've seen it work really not well in other regions. How's it going to be for Coco?
Expect a lot of pathing around the mid lane. Elise, Victor, Gragas, and Echo. Lots of outplay potential. A lot of mid lane games. That's what I think we'll see.
That's right. We'll see CJ trying to tie things up. Let's see if they can do it. Time to get in the game. We get to enjoy the loading screen for once.
We don't get to see this very often, though.
A rare treat, that's right.
Text also needs to be put away. All right.
Director just wanted to get that theme song going, I guess.
Unfiltered Champions experience, finally broadcast to the faithful.
That's right, behind the scenes. We actually do have a loading screen. What do you know? Jin Air versus CJ here in game number 2. CJ looking to tie things up in this best of 5 to decide who goes on to face KT Rolster tomorrow for that final World Championship seed from Korea. Whoever makes it through, I think, is going to have a very difficult time against KT. That said, KT looked pretty off in the finals against SK Telecom, but that was versus SK Telecom. Everybody looks pretty off against SK Telecom these days.
You want to be a glass half full man. KT have lost 2 best of series with Peekaboo, and both of them were to SK Telecom. So if you want to be an optimist, despite the crushing 3-0 defeat, KT still have a hope to get to Worlds.
I think so. I think so. And Jin Air, all right, gets spotted by the Time Winder from Coco. Shy still comes up for that ward. Wow, they are lucky they miss that Q, but Shy's still in a little bit of trouble. If they had gotten the stun off, that's a lot of damage onto Shy regardless. Trace doing a bunch with the ground pound. Space, kind of an awkward space, but Trace getting very low. Ambition! Ambition! Will they get him? They will! First blood goes over to Pilot, but we're not done yet. GBM gets a kill as well. Wow, Che flashes ahead for the Q. They want to land that stun. Coco, there it is! Can they get him? Is it going to be 3 kills for Jin Air early on? It certainly could be. Time Wander getting the slow, but GBM 2 kills before the game really even starts. It could not go worse for CJ Entus.
Insane level 1. Now, you do not get vision from the Time Winder, so Shy did not know that he was in the brush, and this is towards the tail end of the fight. Shy falls dangerously low, but it's actually Ambition who'll go down first. Watch for them to change aggro. The Winter's Bite comes through. He realizes he's dead, tries to get the counter first blood, but Pilot is so on board. In fact, the use of summoners in general was clinical from Jin Air, and that's why they just piled on the fights, and suddenly a 2-kill Victor. It's not quite enough gold to pick up the Hex Core upgrade, but man, are they overloaded with items, and crucially, pink wards as well.
So here's an interesting thing. So last game, we saw all 10 flashes used. This game, only 9. So there we go. Shy still has that flash left.
Boring level 1, though.
I know, right? Well, this has certainly been interesting for a team like Jin Air and CJ to have 2 apocalyptic fights in the at level 1 here 2 games in a row.
The two most passive playoff teams.
I know, right? Are you sure we're not casting LPL right now? Have we like gone to the wrong region somehow?
Maybe Twitch chat needs to check the channel they're on. It does feel that way a little bit.
I'm not complaining. This is my kind of game.
Coco playing this Echo mid, it makes it my kind of game as well. I really want to see Echo reach that point in the meta that I kind of theorized. The moment you saw this champion, you were dreaming of the top players in the world, the likes of Fake, the likes of Dade, the likes of Coco, to play an all-in assassin who has that rewind ability to really try and make the outplays. And credit to Rookie, he's managed to do that in China, but the data points for even jungle Echo, there was only 2 or 3 junglers willing to try that in Korea. It overtook the Chinese meta, but we're starting to see it creep into mid, but only after 5 champions are banned from the mid pool, and the Victor is taken away.
Now that Victor also has 2 kills early on. Uh-oh, Shy gonna get that stun procced under turret, takes a lot of damage. Trace not faring too much better. Gets a little bit of CS up in the top lane, getting some time to farm now, but Shy has really been poked out hard.
Malphite's such a Trace champion. I always come back to this, but a champion that can easily get denied, that has a very low item ceiling. You know, he's happy to build a Sunfire cape, throw in a bit of magic resist maybe. Doesn't need to build teamfight utility like the Righteous Glory just because he's going to get that initiation from a screen away with the flash into ultimate. Can just split push, very hard to dive as well, you know, compared to a champion like Gangplank that we saw from Shy last game. You're not diving a Malphite anytime, specifically after 6, but even before. Jin are really pushing into Ambition's jungle. This is what happens when flashes are down. It's the team that makes the first aggressive move that can really snowball what already is a 1,600 gold lead that was at, what, 2 minutes into the game?
Yeah, and we're really seeing Jinner use that well, too, by picking up a bunch of wards, by getting that map control. They're kind of nerfing the ability of Ambition to get anything done, and they've set themselves up for a very early dragon, too.
The unique factors of Elise, the Spiderlings will tank 1 or 2 hits from the Dragon's Breath. It's still going to be difficult.
I don't know. Yeah, that was a bit too early, especially with the ward there. CJ knows Coco coming down, tries to get the stun onto Chaser. Parallel convergence, Coco can't quite get into it.
Definitely something you can do in a lane swap situation, but when the enemy knows exactly what you're doing, biting off a little bit too much.
I'd agree. Well, at least they tried. And that was not an Elise pun. Don't think that, guys. I would never do something like that.
You never would. The integrity of your humor is not in question, Doa.
That's right. Never.
Man, these concussive blows which dominated the level 1 fight. I mean, that was the big difference between the two teams. One of them had Braum, the other one didn't.
Yep.
The stuns were really the big determiner. Ambition tried to play around them, couldn't do it. The final kill for GBM onto the fleeing members of CJ.
Yeah, the Braum passive is very strong in those level 1 fights, and we don't see Jinner really being afraid of trying to take those. Trace pushed up a little bit far here, and he may pay for it. Oh boy, he has no flash. Yeah, goodbye Trace. I don't think he's going to get out. Taking a lot of damage. Ren will slow him as well, trying to run. He will get out. It's Malphite. I forgot it was Malphite, I guess.
It was Malphite. He just queued quite happily, got a bit of movement speed, and walked away. And the thing about Trace that you noticed, though, Doa, is you said he was advanced, and he was, given where the minion wave was, but he was only ever looking for experience. He had no interest in trying to pick up CS, and the fact that he's such a passive laner, such a safe laner, that he'll never go for those optimistic CS. He'll only ever go for optimistic experience, which shouldn't really be a thing, but is often in a lane swap situation, is what means that it's a very low percentage play to gank Trace when he's on a tank champion, which is all of the time.
Yeah. Look at this, more warding. If you look at the mini-map right now, GBM and Chaser moving into the enemy jungle, controlling that blue buff. They may go for a big dive here in bot lane. There's no vision
Summoners back
for
up,
CJ.
though.
Yeah, it's a 4-man dive down in bottom. Will we see anybody come down? Doesn't look like they can help him. Shy and Madlife just trying to stay alive. Teleport coming in for CJ, but one of them's already dead. Madlife in a lot of trouble as well, too. Coco comes in from the mid lane. GBM takes a lot of damage, turns around, though. Chaos Storm doing quite a bit. Ambition zoning with the barrel, but Jinner already on a pretty safe exit.
Still, consider the fact they pulled off a successful turret dive when the enemy mid laner had teleport and can instantly respond back to block. Madlife takes a lot of damage.
Madlife taking a lot of damage there. Exhaust on the Chaser, trying to come up for something. Coco just ults back to life, or back to higher life, rather.
Gets a bit of sustain in, but the fact that Jinner could pull off that dive with the teleport, it's smart pathing, it's aggressive warding that gave them as predictable a dive as possible. So it's credit Jin Air, but man, it could have gone so much differently.
Yeah. Well, this game so far has just been a really good example of Jin Air doing everything they can to pressure with that advantage they got at the level 1 team fight, and they've done pretty well with it. Nice little gold lead, good vision. One more kill. Trace is going to burrow his way back to base, I guess.
Part of the gold that was picked up with the first floods was also the pink wards that have been sticky around the chokes, so GBM's been able to push up just happy as he likes. Only had the cleanse up since the level 1 fight, never been forced to use it because the pathing for Ambition has been either in wards or in the topside jungle, or just utterly predictable thanks to all the extra snowball gold that was largely spent on vision.
Yeah. Man, those spears Kalista sticks in you are pretty big. You'd think just one of those would be enough to kill you.
It just tells you how tanky Dragon and Baron are. 30, 40 required just to even chunk
right?
it down.
Well, the fact that like Vayne can have a spear sticking through her as long as she is tall and live, pretty amazing stuff. Maybe she just has no heart.
Maybe the armor makers don't get enough credit.
Well, I don't know. Clearly the armor isn't working because it's going all the way through them. But, I think Pilot just has the ability to dodge with his vital organs as well. You move him around inside, you out of the way of the spear, you see it coming. Move the heart.
Maybe everyone's able to shift their phase and like go in and out of the
no, that's ridiculous. That's so implausible compared to what I just said. I can't believe you even suggested that.
I mean, Echo's on the Rift. He can do it.
No, man, he can just move through time. He can't move his... Well, maybe he can move his organs.
A misleading amount of time. I watched that video. It sounded like it could be hours, not seconds. I mean, at least minutes, right?
Well, according to the lore, really, Echo should never lose a game of League of Legends, right? Because he can just do it over and over again until he wins.
I mean, Jax also should be the most OP champion, right? He is the champ.
He is. I wish Shy would bring the champ back.
Expression tried and failed.
Yeah. He got that ult buff a little while ago. He's got a little bit more tankiness in general, too.
They keep pushing him, you know, they keep nudging him along. There'll be a time for the champ, but...
You gotta be careful, man. When Jax is back in the meta, he is pretty dominant usually.
Split pushing, team fighting. When he can do both, that's when you need to be worried.
Yeah, definitely. Cough, cough, Gangplank, cough, cough.
Look, Gangplank's had his time in the sun for, what, a week now? Let's give him a bit of time.
Time to go, Gangplank. The Nerf bat is being wound up as we speak. Coco pushed back in lane as we speak as well. Jin Air with a little bit of a CS lead across the board, still maintaining that small gold lead too. The vision has started to be pushed back a bit in CJ's favor. Oh, there we go, going back in. Put down a couple more wards in the jungle.
It's worth knowing that the team identities have shifted a bit this game. We talked in game 1 how Jin Air, they had the Maokai, they had the early power spike with the Kalista. Those champs have swapped over to CJ, so they're the team that wants to control the early dragon. It's just, when you donate 3 kills over to priority members, literally to the mid lane and the AD carry, I mean, it's optimistic to try and control that, but one thing that Jin Air haven't been able to do, barring that attempt at 4 minutes, is to pick up that first dragon that, honestly, the level 1 should have dictated that they should have had control over at this point in the game.
You would think so. Looks like they're going for another big dive here. Chaser and Shay coming down.
Dive is the aggressive move.
Mad
Dragon
Life
is the easy
space in trouble. Ambition coming down. Coco still in the mid lane, but he could join them anytime. He's got that teleport. They're going to take out the turret. Mad Life stuck in that gravity field. The turret getting very, very low. Oh, Mad Life tries to come in for a play. Backs off immediately. Looks like they'll save the turret for the moment anyway.
Buying time for Coco to push in the mid, getting free time.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of damage done to that turret.
Jin Air got split pushed to hell by Gangplank last game, and Coco's doing his best Gangplank impersonation.
Wow, Jin Air really not getting anything out of that move towards the bot lane. No dragon, no kills, no turret. Taking a lot of damage on their mid lane turret in response.
To say it's a low percentage play for your mid laner to literally run up the lane and poke under turret is an understatement. It makes it so transparent, exactly what you're looking to do. So CJ punished what was a very obvious move by Jin Air.
Seems that way. And GBM. Now with Chaser in the mid lane, they're going to do a lot of damage. The thing is even though they're not getting these turrets, they're getting them very low. So there will be a point in the game where if Jin Air wins a team fight around Dragon or something, they can easily snowball that into a couple thousand more gold in leads from taking down these low health turrets. I don't know what the top turret is at right now, but I have to imagine it's taking a little bit anyway.
The
Probably not a lot.
The deep vision they've repeatedly put in the blue side jungler CJ Entus should have meant a dragon at this point. So they're going for the overly aggressive move, the low percentage move of going for the turret dive they might pull off. But remember, they went for that second turret dive 5 minutes afterwards. Coco had his teleport available again. It still was a low percentage play. It felt like the dragon was presented on a platter, and they've just ignored that objective so far, have Jeanette.
It is kind of odd, isn't it? Yeah, it almost reminds me of KT against SK Telecom in the Grand Finals, where they had that early lead in Game 1, and then they just refused to take dragons, refused to really push it at all, and they lost that game.
While they don't have such an item power spike like you're speaking about when KT had Arrow with a Trinity Force at 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was even bigger for them.
They still have the pressure. They still are ahead in items. And even if they aren't the comp that you would have associated with Dragon Control, once 3 kills are passed over in the level 1 fight, you throw out that playbook and you understand that you are by far the most powerful team in a team fight right now.
You know, I wonder though, because Jin Air, they've tried a couple things that haven't really resulted in many kills. You know, they spent a lot of that gold on ward, so is the power really there as much? Chaser getting some nice cocoon onto Coco. Still takes a lot of damage. There's a repel. Che coming in to try to save him. Chaser flashes away. Explosive cast used. GBM flashes out of the way. Coco's still doing a lot of damage. There's a Braum ultimate as Trace comes down. Where's his ultimate? There we go. He could still use it. He's waiting for it. He's being patient. They get the kill on Elise, though. Trace, he misses everyone. Totally whiffs the unstoppable force, and now CJ in a great position. Pilot in a lot of trouble, has to run. Chain GBM as well. There's another flash. Can they turn it around? No chance. And it could be an early dragon now for CJ. Well, not early, but first dragon anyway could go to CJ. Trace waited so long to use that ultimate, waited for Chaser to die even, and then didn't hit anybody.
You could tell he did not want to ult, though. He was obviously getting the call to re-engage and then just whiffed on the re-engage. So I think he made the right move not initiating earlier, because there would have just been too many members in position from CJ. He probably would have given up his life, but you can't credit the fact that he certainly whiffed when the time mattered.
It was not great. Not too great. Then again, CJ, if you watch, they don't quite group up like a team like Najin would.
I mean, the big factor is the Malphite ult. So we're watching Chaser fall down. When can he realistically ult? Right now, it's certainly not a possibility. He needs to ult a carry. There isn't a carry in range till now. So this is the time when you can go for it. Just misses. So credit to him on holding it, but yeah, you need to do better than that.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Jin still takes a blue buff. You know, CJ wasn't actually able to get the dragon out of that. They didn't even get the mid lane turret.
15 minutes, going to be a very late first dragon. The one thing you can say is that, you know, in the first game we said win condition for Jin with Maokai and Kalista was control the dragon. Still the same story in game 2 for CJ, but when you're talking about picking up the first optimistically for CJ, let's say at 18 minutes, then you're adding 24 minutes. That's 42 minutes into the game. The dragon win condition that CJ mostly picked around, double teleport really gives you a lot of help in terms of controlling objectives, is not going to be achieved. So while Jin haven't countered it by picking out one of their own, they've at least taken away that realistic win condition for CJ.
Yeah, and we talked about those turrets falling. Bottom lane just went down, mid lane very low as well. Mad Life can come in to try to make a play. They'll save that turret for the moment, but still a comfortable near 3,000 gold lead for Jin at the moment. CJ wasn't really able to get anything out of that kill onto Chaser from a couple minutes ago.
I sounded like a strange stat given how game 1 went, but the Dragons' score for Jin in their last 4 games is 15-3. They've had the complete control over that objective against Najin. They went 4-1 last game, despite the fact that they picked up their first one very late. So maybe we shouldn't question the fact that they're not starting it, but they've at least accounted for it. So
well, they've almost made Dragon like a non-factor in this game, right? It's so late that no matter who gets it first, nobody's really going to get a chance at that 5th Dragon buff unless we go really, really late, which is unlikely. So, I mean, I suppose that is a form of Dragon control if you just simply deny it to everybody when you have the stronger late-game team comp.
I mean, neutralizing it is definitely in their interest, but you feel like that's so passive given that they've had control over the enemy bot side jungle. If you're feeling strong enough to ward the enemy blue, to ward the enemy walls, to look for turret dives, then you know you're strong enough to take a dragon. So why they've gone for that, that's the puzzle to me.
It is odd. Now they're finally going for it, and nobody from CJ is going to be able to stop them. So finally at 17:30 into the game, they will take their very first dragon. And so you know, it took a while, but it worked about as well as it could for Jin Air, denying it from CJ. And now that sets CJ just even farther back. So again, you know, while nobody is going to probably get 5 dragons this game, at least Jin Air has made sure that it won't be CJ.
That's pretty much the only way you can take it. Is that, look, they've got the 6% stats that, of course, will do them well the whole game. The rest of the buffs, short of maybe the movement speed, are kind of irrelevant when it comes to really forcing a way through in what is a very even team comp game. So just going to look for wave clear wars, and Jin Air, they'll be comfortable with their first 20 minutes, but it's not quite as decisive as some of the ones that really got them ahead, whether it was last game or whether it was against Najin 2 days ago.
Yeah. I suppose the big story is just a late game, right? I mean, Jin Air's going to have the edge. And so if you can go into that late game with any sort of lead, you're in pretty good shape.
Worth knowing the edge is marginal. It's definitely not night and day between these two team comps. Malphite, Trace already shown that if you miss that ultimate, he certainly loses a lot of his effectiveness. You can't really expect him to whiff his ult too many times.
Pretty much loses all of its effectiveness if you miss it, I'd say.
And the only big difference is that Vayne will have a better time with the front line of CJ than the reverse story space will struggle to get through Malphite and Elise, or Braum for that matter, in the late game fights. In the mid lane, we don't really know how strong Coco can be on this Echo. When Rookie got snowballing, he took over a game as Echo, but that was 4, 5, 6 kill Echo, and this is pretty much just farm lane Echo.
Yeah, this is a 0 kill Echo, which doesn't do a whole lot. You gotta wonder what else Coco could have picked instead. There were so many bans, and now they're gonna go for this bot lane tier 1.
Got a lot of wave clear from Vayne, so
yeah,
just looking to push up. They have the teleport. Both teleports are available between Malphite and Malphite. And just another impasse. And honestly, there's going to be a lot of impasses over the next few minutes before Dragon's up.
Oh, Vision takes a bit of spider poke, which sounds like the least desirable poke to be poked with.
Exactly.
Ugh,
keep those creepy crawlies away. I'm Australian, still keep the spiders away.
Well, yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to keep them away, you'd think an Australian would be the one who would want to.
You'd think we'd be a little bit more attuned to those, a bit more predictable, given the creepy crawlies. Australia's Violet.
Oh, here we go. There's a cocoon on the Mad Life. Mad Life pops that ultimate. He's so low already, though. Gets pulled into the Fate's Call. Trace is there, waiting for that ultimate. Ambition gonna go down anyway. They don't even need it. Flash from Mad Life. There we go. Space right on to that ultimate from Trace, or vice versa. Man, Mad Life just abandoned his AD carry there. He's like, sorry, buddy, you're on your own. Good luck versus the Malphite.
That time Malphite held onto his ult, hit it, and it looked so much better. And the turret that was prepped earlier falls down.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Slowly starts to grow. They can see them pinging on the last outer turret. For a team with the likes of Vayne to get the 3 outer turrets down, to be able to rotate their members around, maybe even set up Vayne for a split push now that she's finished up by the Ruin King. It's massive for Jin Air to get this early 3 turrets down. You're going to see in the replay.
Oh, let's just watch this one again. Mad Life gets completely caught. Good zoning from the Braum arc as well.
And look at this.
Wow.
GBM's ult, of course. The Chaos Storm does interrupt channels, interrupts the teleport. Trace holds onto the ult, doesn't miss it twice. Nothing Space can do.
Nope.
Yeah, GBM, the real hero there. You know, people don't really respect the ability for that ultimate to cancel channels. Remember, it used to be a 0.5-second silence. Now it interrupts channels. The same as, say, the Kassadin Q got the same tweak as well. GBM pumped himself top. They take out 3 outer turrets from 3 outer turrets to 0. That is the big story. Most of that 5,000 gold is that standing gold from the turrets.
Yeah, I mean, before it was just a small lead like you were talking about, but now we're going into a situation where all the outer turrets are down. 5,000 gold lead, 6,000 gold lead for CJ here. And, or for Jin Air rather. CJ's finally going to be able to take their first turret of the game. But they're a bit low. Oh, Pilot finds Coco, pushes him against the wall. Coco ults. Is Pilot going to be able to catch him? There's the flash used. Pilot pops that final hour, but looks like it's going to be a couple more hours yet for Coco. Or at least minutes. I don't think we've got hours left in this game. I hope we don't have hours left in this game.
It's a really smart duel from Pilot. I like that he didn't get too greedy. He had his flash and his heal available. He even started to walk towards where he knew that the Echo ult point would be, but knew that he didn't have the vision around it to really go too aggressive. Draws out the flash, and it means that Coco can be only so tricky in the next fight without that extra reposition of the flash.
Yeah, it works. It's something. And Jin Air is playing this at this point in the game. They're playing it fairly conservatively. fairly methodically. They know they've got the big edge going into the later stages of the game, so there's no reason to push it. You can just wait for that next dragon, fight around that. You can just keep pushing the lanes. That Malphite certainly seems to be the key to victory here for Jin Air. Not in that they can use the Malphite to win fights, but they just have it. As long as it's there. It's just some moral support that Malphite gives you.
Look,
just knowing that your team is rock solid.
He certainly is that. He's going to need to stack magic resist because he's going to have to deal with the double teleport.
Yeah.
That's the only real wrench in the plan for Jin Air, is that they don't have a damage assassin like Fizz to deal with this Echo on the late game. So Trace needs to be able to just shrug off the magic damage, which he can mostly do. He's Malphite, he's rock solid like you mentioned, but doesn't really have any threat of his own. So there is some tricky plays CJ can make with the double teleport in the late game that might get them an objective lead. Jin Air might come to rue the fact that they were a little bit lax with controlling the dragons in the early game.
CJ trying to set things up for another dragon. And Jin Air's going to have none of this. Ambition could be in a bit of trouble here. He's going to get that stun popped on him. There it is. He pushed back Che for the moment, but GBM still grabs that kill, and now that dragon is definitely going to go to Jin Air.
Ambition was just in the middle of nowhere, though. You look at this minimap, there's 3 or 4 pink wards in this area. There's no red vision.
Well,
why was he there?
How many times have we seen this since Ambition has switched to the jungle role? Have we seen him get caught in that exact position? I mean, it happens all the time, and usually he relies on Mad Life's Thresh Lantern to pull him to safety, but can't really do that with Alistar. So Ambition will get killed a lot. Already dead 3 times this game.
It was him getting caught against the Coup Tigers on Evelynn, trying to make a flank in the late game that really was the final nail in the coffin for CJ in that series. Ambition, just like Shy, just like Space, playing for his future to some degree. 2016, there's no guarantee Ambition will be starting jungler next year.
If I was CJ, I'd probably be looking for somebody else at this point. I mean, he just has not had a big impact. He's been okay, but he's never been great. And the amount this guy gets caught, you really got to hope they're grooming somebody else for the role. Mad Life thinking about coming in onto Che, but no real danger there, it looks like.
We know that this guy does have a big factor in the late game team fighting, in the late game shot calling as well for this team. So maybe that's one of the factors that's really led to his extended run. There was times when we thought that Trick would start to jungle. Remember, Trick was in the team when they overcame SKT 2-1. The only team to beat SKT in a best-of-3 after a very long run of wins for SK Telecom.
Well, that is true, and CJ does have a history of being very, very loyal to their players. I mean, we saw players like Space stick around for, well over a year, even when he wasn't performing well. So there is that factor to it as well within the CJ Entus organization, but that said, it's been a long run, and it's been a pretty good run for Ambition, but I don't know if this move to the jungle has really worked out like they hoped.
It was definitely looking good early in the spring season. I think he adjusted the role very well, surprisingly well, given when you were just told that Ambition, a stalwart of the mid lane, had really seen the mid lane meta passing by.
Oh, gets caught, but then this happens. And then you wonder, maybe it wasn't the greatest idea after all. Nice segue, though. I'm glad you were talking about that right when you get caught again. But you contrast Ambition to a player like Score, right? Score goes into the jungle even before Peekaboo shows up. This guy is really playing with vision well, really ganking, playing team fights well. It can be done. The role swap can work. Hasn't worked, though, for Ambition and CJ Entus. Jin Air, jungler dead. They're going to go for an easy Baron, just like they went for an easy Dragon after the last time they killed Ambition.
Honestly, the most curious thing about Ambition is the picks he makes. For example, they highly prioritized Evelynn against Coup Tigers, despite the fact that he's now 1-6 on that champion. Evelynn and Rek'Sai had a really negative win rate, and those champions were big in the meta, and you might say, okay, you're a jungler, you have to play these champions. He's undefeated on Lee Sin this season, 3-0, I believe, with the Warrior Lee Sin.
Right.
He's undefeated on Nunu. He still has champions that he does, and he understands very well. He was still a big Lee Sin player when he was a mid laner. He would dabble in that in the jungle in his solo queue games, but despite those fact that those champions are maybe fringe meta champs, he still stalwartly sticks with the likes of the Gragas, the likes of the Evelynn and Rek'Sai, even though these champions clearly he doesn't have the same impact on. I feel like he needs to trust himself enough to go onto those extended champion pools, because when he tries to stay meta, his flaws are just revealed to a T.
Yeah, oh, Pulverize does not connect for Mad Life. I mean, yeah, or CJ needs to trust him to play champions he's comfortable on. One of those two things.
Given his shot calling role, you'd think he would have a say in these things, but the result is he plays the Gragas, the Evelyn, the Rek'Sai, and he just doesn't really convince.
Oh, Trace, a little bit caught. Stunned by that parallel convergence. He's so tanky, though. Cocoon misses. Coco still gets very low, though. Jin coming in. There's an unstoppable force that they were looking for, but where's the follow-up? All right, it doesn't exist. GBM has to go back to kill Coco. Coco tried to get into the backlines. Probably a smart move, considering the position CJ was in. Chaos Storm chases down space, but it will catch Mad Life instead. Another kill for GBM, really going off this game. They're going to get another tier 2. Jin just all over CJ at this point. This game, much, much less close than game 1 was. They're going to take a pretty easy inhibitor, it looks like, as well.
Coco used the phase dive just to get out of the Malphite AoE, but then found himself next to the Elise, next to all the damage, fell on the backline. GBM goes for another walk, is going to keep pushing, and Jin so much easier for them to round out this game when they've got that Malphite on their team.
Well, look at this. They're going to get this tier 2. They're going to walk up for another maybe inhibitor, depending. Coco and Mad Life are back now, but these decisions by Jin looking much, much better in game 2. They're going to pull him in. Fate's Call, throws Shy. Well, Shy just goes in by himself. Big knockup on a Jin. Still the damage coming in from GBM. Oh, man. CJ cannot fight this. They're learning why right now. Coco gets in the backlines. Pylon grabs himself another kill. Space hopping away, trying to get to safety. Didn't kill Chaser with the Rend like he was hoping. Jin still pressuring that inhibitor. Shy coming back. He's got full life. Jin needs to run. Shy not that tanky, though. And Jin another kill. This time onto Space, onto Shy. This one's over, guys. This game has all but ended. Only Ambition left, and as the minion wave comes in with the Baron power, Jin is going to go up 2-0 against CJ Entus, believe it or not. I don't know what Chaser was doing there.
That was awkward. But they should be able to finish the game.
Yeah, there it is. Nexus goes down in a 2-0 lead. They are one game away from KT Rolster tomorrow and a good shot at going to Worlds.
This Jin lineup, only a 3-day break, and then scrimmed against LGD, did well against the top teams in the world, and are suddenly 5-0. It looks like the previous game was just a bit of an anomaly because they were so much on form this game. Probably no coincidence that they bring in Malphite, and one shocking ult accepted, they look so much cleaner.
You gotta ban that Malphite.
I think you have to. They tried to take it away. They tried taking it away, but it seems like it would shoot Shy as well. But really convincing performance from Jin. Ambition getting caught, though, was the big story in the mid game. We've said that a lot this season. We've said that a lot this year. But he needs to look at himself, specifically on champions like Gragas, because it happens too often.
Well, improvement certainly seems to have been a big thing for Jin since we saw them before the Worlds Gauntlet here. Looking really good in game number 2. And CJ, I don't think a lot of people expected them to be in this position. I mean, CJ has looked very off and on all year long, and things just not coming together.
CJ still have so much pride to fight for. If they lose the next game, they will have gone 0-6 in the postseason. For them to not pick up one win after what was a decent growing season, after such a big win over SK Telecom, would be an embarrassment.
Yeah. You got to wonder how seriously SKT was taking that one at this point. But either way, Jin one game away from making it to the final stage of the gauntlet. It's got to be exciting, guys. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll see if they can close it out. Or if CJ starts to come back, I think it can happen. We'll be back after this.